Hello, everyone, and welcome to the HPT. I'm James Larson, alongside my good pal and professional poker player, Mr. Kenneth James. This week, we are here in beautiful Florence, Indiana, at the Belterra Casino Resort, wrapping up our HPT event. 4 players remain. Our chip leader's name is Samir, and he's kind of running away with this thing.
He is. It's like a horse race, but like any horse race, James, very tough to go wire to wire. Can Samir do it tonight?
Interesting sidebar, 22-year-old Jacob Moore, an amateur, is at this table. He's never won $1 in a live tournament before. Satellite in for $260. I guess I'd call him a newbie.
Oh, wow. Sidebar? I mean, is this kid even old enough to go to the bar? I mean, you know, he's really played his cards well tonight for being such a young amateur. Really, the only thing standing between him and the title is perhaps a couple of big hands and getting him to hold up.
And the real question is, could Mark, Jacob, or maybe Frank overtake our chip leader and win this thing? The action starts right now.
Let's go ahead and take a look at the chip counts. Final 4, Samir still leading the way. He's been wire to wire so far, KJ.
Absolutely. Frank right behind him, though. Neck and neck as we're down to the final 4.
Let's talk important matters here. The prize money up top, $83,732. They're all guaranteed almost $24K right now for 4th place. 40,000, 80,000 with a 10K ante. Let's play some poker.
Absolutely. 4-handed. This is where it gets really exciting. You're forced to open up your range here as the blinds are high and they come around very, very quickly.
Folding around now to Mark on the button. He's going to get rid of his 8-4 over to Samir. He looks down at Jack-7. And he's going to make the call. And now Jacob's going to go all in from the 1 seat. Samir quickly folds. So the first hand of the night will go to Jacob in the 1 seat. I don't think Samir put enough in on the call there is what they were talking about.
And as we look at the chips there, those grays are 5,000. Remember, the blue 25K and the black 100,000.
My name's Jacob Moore. I'm from originally Clio, Michigan, and I'm a poker dealer at the Horseshoe Cincinnati now. Being a poker dealer doesn't really affect my play much. I think a lot of people might think that because I see a lot of hands just from dealing that it might affect my play, but really I look at poker from a different perspective. Things like what I do in my daily life don't really affect the way I play.
Separating your personal life from your poker life, so important, so important.
Whole lot of cash on the line here in the HPT tonight. 1 champion will be crowned. They'll go home with the title, the bracelet, the bragging rights. And look at Mark. He wakes up with ace, king of spades.
How does he play it here?
Mark's going to go ahead and raise it up to $215,000.
I promise you right now he's thinking, come on, guys, 3-bet me one more time.
Samir and Jacob fold now over to Frank. We'll see if he defends his big blind. It's looking like that's what he's going to do here. Frank is in loss prevention. So what he does every day at work is he
prevents loss.
Prevents people from stealing. And he's trying to do that here with Mark right now. Oh. Unfortunately, he's behind. The flop is 10 tray deuce.
Not anymore. Frank flops top pair here. Traditionally, you check to the razor. That would be the standard, and that's what he does here as Mark looks to make a continuation bet. Continuing to bet as the pre-flop razor post-flop.
Mark bets $260,000. Frank wisely just going to make the call here, a pot of over 1 million chips.
And you say wisely, that's exactly right, James, because you're never sure whether the opponent has the big pair or 2 overcards like Mark does here, who picks up, no, I thought it was a spade. It's not. It's a club. So he still just has 2 overcards. He elects to slow down and checks it as we go to the river.
He's drawing dead as Frank turned 2 pair. There are 10s and 8s. We go to the river.
Wow.
A great card for Frank. A fantastic card here for Frank. He's got him right where he wants him. He's going to bet $500,000.
He's definitely going to get paid off here. The thing is, will Mark make a misstep here and raise? I don't think so. He's played too solid, too tight. Yep, he just makes the call, is not going to like the news.
Perfect pot there for Frank. He's going to win the hand and a pot of over 2 million chips. And when we come back, 4-handed poker resumes right here on the HPT. Welcome back to the HPT as we broadcast from the Belterra Casino Resort. I'm James Larson alongside my good pal, Kenneth James. We are part of the James Gang. You getting tired of that yet?
No, I love it, man. Pocket threes, known as crabs.
I've never heard that before.
Yeah.
Pocket trays, crabs.
A lot of these poker hands have names, you know, pet
Well,
names.
yeah, I know most of them. I just didn't know crabs. Action on Samir with his pocket crabs. I don't know if I should say that here on television. He'll raise to 160,000. Jacob gets out of the way. Now action on Frank here in the small. He's got King Jack. He's going to make the call. Now over to Mark in the big with Ace Tray.
Yeah, everybody got a resemblance of some type of hand here. Wow, Mark's stepping out here now.
Wow, Mark is going to go all in over the top with his Ace Tray.
An uncharacteristically big move from Mark, and this is what is actually going to probably get it through.
Samir is going to make the call. Now over to Frank.
Really?
Well, Frank's going to make the call as well.
Wow. We have really stepped it up this week from last week. It has moved gears, switching gears, these players, as they can smell the title.
Mark is holding the only ace out of the three. The flop is King 5-10, couple of hearts.
That vaults Frank into the lead with top pair.
Mark can't be happy about this at all. We go to the turn card now. It's the 4 of diamonds.
Check, check, to the river we go.
So now Mark looking for an ace or a deuce, or he's going to be eliminated. We go to the river card. It's the deuce of clubs.
Oh, my.
Just like that, Mark makes the wheel. They flip over their cards, and they can't believe it.
The wheels on the bus go round and round. Look, Mark doesn't... Underwhelmed?
Underwhelmed, to say the least, my friend.
My friend, you've just doubled up. You're playing for $80,000, and she needs a shovel to scoop the pot towards Mark as he piles up his winnings.
The miracle deuce on the river.
There it
for
is.
Mark.
There
Hey,
it
smile.
is.
First time in 2 weeks I've seen this guy smile. Little known fact about Mark, he's bowled a 300 game and an 800 series. I used to be an old bowler. I love that.
Well, it makes sense now, you know, because as a bowler, you got to be very contained, keep that ball in the lane.
Mark's still alive here at this final table as we broadcast from the Belterra Casino Resort. Action is finally heating up. We waited a week for this action.
Absolutely. You know, and it sounds like I'm on Mark's back, but I'm not. I mean, he's really picked his spots really well, and now he's stepping up his game. I really like the way he's playing.
Frank makes the call. Samir makes the call. Jacob's going to check the option.
To the ever-important flop we go.
And the flop is 10-6 deuce, couple of hearts.
70% of the hand is defined on the flop.
Jacob's going to bet 100,000, just 22 years old, got into this event on a $260 qualifier. I love stories like that.
Yes, Jacob with top pair now. Frank with second pair. We go to the turn.
Turn card is the 9 of diamonds. Once again, Jacob will be first.
Jacob sensing that top pair is good here and continues with the lead.
The bet is 225,000. And now an all in.
Look at this.
225 and now a raise all in, and boy, Jacob's got a decision to make.
Well, you know, Frank is on the semi-bluff here as well. Not only second pair, but he's got the nut flush draw as well. So this is called a semi-bluff. Wow, and it gets through. Nice play by Frank.
So Jacob folds, Frank wins the pot. And talk more about the semi-bluff. How important is that to tournament play?
Vital, especially when you're short-handed like this, because you not only give yourself a chance to make your hand, you give yourself a chance to have your opponent fold, in which case that's what won the pot.
He's Kenny James. I'm James Larson. It's the HPT. Action on Mark. Looks down at ace-6. A huge double up for him as he caught that deuce on the river just a couple of hands ago.
Interesting. That's normally a raise there. He folds his ace high, four-handed. It usually is the best hand.
Samir's going to make the call here with his queen deuce. He's led this thing the entire way. Frank's going to go ahead and check his option here in the big blind. 9-8 going up against queen deuce. Just 4 players remain. We had 383 entries in this event. We go to the flop. It's ace-7-5. They're all red, my friends.
Wow.
And they're all hearts.
Samir flopping gin here with the flush. He's going to play possum. Check it as we go to the turn.
Turn card is the king of spades.
He's hoping that his opponent catches up enough where he can get some value from his hand, but it's not going to happen.
Samir's going to win the pot, adding to his chip stack here. Do you think Samir can close this thing out and win his first HPT title?
It's interesting, James. I don't know. These players are trading blows back and forth, back and forth. Every pot's so important. Look at Samir now.
This is really going to help. I'll tell you that right now. We'll see how he plays this.
Pocket kings. You know, you're going to raise every hand when it's four-handed when you come into a pot. So obviously raising here, trying to get some action, hoping that his opponent wakes up with a hand behind him, and he does. Jacob now.
Oh, not to mention Frank. Jacob's got ace-6, and now Frank's got ace-king. Jacob shoves all in, and Frank's going to make the call. We still have Mark to get to. He's going to get out of the way.
How much was he in for?
It's like 1.2.
Well, it's a puzzle here. Why is Samir asking for a count? You've got pocket kings. The Cowboys, get it in.
Yeah, he did
does.
right there.
Okay,
He's
there you
all
go.
in. Jacob was already all in, and he's not liking this at all.
No.
He knows he's got ace-6. And now over to Frank, who's got a decision to make. His baseball cap is on sideways now, and he's going to make the call.
Frank, what's wrong with you?
If Samir wins this hand, he's going to have a majority of the chips here at the table.
And look at Mark standing up. Even though he doesn't have a hand here, he's very involved.
Almost 9.5 million in the middle. And
Wow.
Samir's in the lead, but he's got to dodge some cards. The flop is 8-4 deuce. That's a good start right there. Couple of diamonds.
Well, for him, tens of thousands of dollars on the line. For Samir, if he can avoid an ace on the turn or the river, to the turn we
Give him a
go.
6.
Can the Kings
9.
hold up to eliminate one player and cripple another? That's the Jack of Hearts on the
9.
turn.
Jacob now drawing dead because an ace makes Frank the best
9.
hand.
Samir calling for a 9. This would be a huge pot. Pivoting him right into the championship circle, possibly. And it is a 9. It's the 9
Amazing.
of clubs.
Amazing.
ace.
Look at the hands vaulted in the air.
And that is going to do it for Jacob Moore. The 22-year-old poker dealer is going to go home with almost $24,000. And when we come back from this quick break, we'll sort things out. It's three-handed poker here on the HPT. Well, Kenna, that graphic pretty much says it all. Samir with, I'll just say, all the chips. Mark behind him with over $1 million, but that huge pot before the commercial break. And Samir's he's got 94, let me say this again, 94 big blinds is what he has.
But there's a big pay jump between second and third as well. And this is far from over, my friends.
Couple of double ups, 3 or 4 double ups, and these guys will be right back in it.
Well, don't forget, almost $20,000 difference between second and third. Samir should understand that and really put the pedal to the metal here. Instead, he just flats with his ace-10. Maybe he's trying to trap here. Frank's not buying it. He checks his option in the big blind as we go to the flop.
And the flop is Jack 6-4. Action on Samir. He's going to check over to Frank.
Frank
Samir.
now with a pair, he should bet here.
Turn card now is the 7 of clubs. And now Frank's all in, and Samir makes a snap call there.
With ace high.
And Samir made the call. Let's see
Wow.
Look at this, a misstep, and you can be right back in this.
Could have played that a little differently, my friend.
That's all right.
Yeah, I guess whenever you lose a pot, you can play it
And
differently.
the river card is
Meaningless.
the king of spades. So just like that, Frank's going to double up.
Mark's not going to like it. You know, as I said, 20,000 difference between second and third. That's going to move Frank closer.
I thought you were gonna jam when I limmed the button.
And I think Samir was just in that autopilot kind of mode. And he just started, he should have bet early on in that hand. He shouldn't have
Absolutely.
just check called, and then Frank goes all in, doubles up. But like you said, Mark can't be happy about that at all. Over
He
to Mark
looks
now.
down. Yeah, he's got queen 4 suited. Let's see if he takes his own fate in his hands now. Raise it up here. He does.
Mark's all in.
Look at this switch of gears by Mark.
I'll call.
And Samir's going to make the call, and Samir's got him beat. Queen 6 against Queen 4.
Right. Now, a lot of these pots are going to be chopped. That's why you see it's 40-28. That leaves about a 32% chance. 1/3 of the time, they'll split the pot. To the flop we go. Mark's tournament life on the line. Oh,
Ace,
my.
9, 8, all spades. Neither player with a spade in their hand.
Come on, spades? No.
All those cards over 7 now are going to be chops.
Let's see the turn card.
Or 7.
Turn card now is the Queen of Diamonds, so both players pairing their queen.
Much more likely for a chop pot now. As you can see, 86% of the time it's going to be chopped as we go to the river.
Oh, yeah. We chopped it yesterday. You're right. Chop it
All right,
off.
I'm okay with
with
Samir
that.
looking like he's taking his walk, ready to shake hands again.
And it's the four of clubs.
Man, look at this.
Mark with two pair, queens and fours, going to win the hand. So a little bit of bad luck here for Samir the last two hands. Now tell me,
Well, I don't know. I disagree. It's not only maybe a little bit of bad luck, but a little bit of bad play as well. Not here, not in this hand. But bottom line, he's doubled up both opponents. We are heating up anybody's game now.
does Samir need to be concerned here, or does he still have so many chips that didn't really matter?
I think it's like,
Well,
a
this is
pop
going to
in the
help.
chops. Yeah, when you wake up with two kings.
He's got pocket kings now.
His opponents might start to think, wow, this guy's a loose cannon.
Sure. He's going to raise to 300,000. Frank's going to make the call.
Quick call by Frank here. He does have position. A single gap suited hand.
Wow, look at this flop. Ace 6-5.
Wow, this is great for Frank because his opponent's going to slow down with an ace on board and give him a free draw to an 8 for a straight.
Jack of hearts now on the turn. Frank looking for an 8.
8 to escape to the river.
It's not. It's the 6 of spades.
And I'm sure Samir is just going to be happy to take this with his pocket kings with an ace out there, and he does take home the pot.
Did you even catch any of that? You call a shove free?
What?
You call a shove free?
No. I almost got it there.
He's not going to call a shove with 9 high, Samir. Come on. Now, Samir likes to gamble it up with those type of hands. But, three-handed, you got to be willing to get in there and gamble it up. And I like his game. Let's see if he's going to raise it up with Jack 3.
No, he's going to fold with his Jack Trey. Now over to Frank, and Frank is going to go all in with his King 7.
Wow. And you can see the action three-handed. This is what happens. Oh,
Hello.
Marcus woke up with ace king, a quick call.
Yeah, Mark's going to make the call. And all in by Frank and a call
And a call by
Let's see
Mark,
what happens.
and he's got him dominated. Ace King going up against King 7. We could be heads up here in a matter of moments, ladies and gentlemen.
Severely dominated. 3-1 favorite as we go to the flop.
It's getting worse for Frank. The
Look
flop
at
is
that.
ace 6 deuce, couple of hearts.
Frank with only 1% chance. He needs runner, perfect, in order to stay in the tournament.
We go to the turn card now. That's going to be the 10 of hearts. And that is going to do it, ladies and gentlemen. Frank is going to be eliminated. He's going to go out in third place. A nice little payday, though. $34,406. And when we come back from this quick commercial break, it's time for Heads Up Poker.
Yeah, we're going to set up our heads up action here.
Welcome back to the HPT, beautiful Belterra Casino Resort right here in Florence, Indiana. James Larson alongside Kenna James, and it's that time in the program, my friend, Heads Up Poker.
I love it. You're playing nearly every hand heads up. It's exciting to watch.
Mark's going to start here with 10-9. This is truly where experience is such a huge factor, and I wonder how much heads-up experience both of these players have.
Well, that's usually exposed in the early going based on how they play. Like Mark has played this final table pretty tight. He's going to find another gear now.
He's going to go ahead and raise it up to 270,000. I've heard poker pros say never limp your button heads up. I don't know if that's 100% true, Kenna.
I don't like to say never or always, especially in poker where so much information is unknown. I think you have to mix it up and keep your opponents off balance.
Samir does make the call. He's ahead right now with his King 8 going up against Mark and his 10-9. The flop is Jack 9-5. Mark pairs his 9.
So much of this is how well you flop to your hands.
It's truly a chess game. It's heads-up poker.
It's a great comment, James.
Hand range is everything under the sun, essentially.
Yeah, so there's so much feel.
Mark bets 275,000, and Samir is going to fold. Now, I talked about Mark. He's bowled a 300 game, an 800 series, but I didn't realize this. He's also got a hole-in-one in golf.
Wow.
So he's just got to add one more thing to that resume, and that would be an HPT title.
Beautiful golf course here. Tom Fazio design. We got to play it the other day.
It's fantastic. I love the rolling hills, but I read this. 2,200 trees on that course. I think I hit 1,100 of them.
And these players right here, right now, they don't want to shank one into the trees.
Samir now with 9-8 of diamonds.
Now, does he limp here or does he raise?
He's going to go ahead and raise it up to 275,000.
I like
to
it.
Mark now looks down at 7-4 of hearts.
And you're going to want to defend almost every hand, especially a suited hand here, and then, define your hand on the flop.
How important is reading your opponent when it's heads-up poker?
Very important, but you got to settle in, you can't get anxious. You got to let things develop, pick up tells, those physical tells that give away the strength of your opponent's hand.
Mark's going to make the call. We go to the flop. It's Queen 6-4.
And Mark here with bottom pair.
Mark's going to check over to Samir.
Now, I like, when you're heads up like this and you flop a pair, I like betting it.
Turn card is the deuce of diamonds. And what is Mark thinking? I mean, he's going up against, such an opponent with such a huge chip stack right now. What's the strategy to get back in this thing?
Just keep chipping away.
Bet is 285,000.
And Samir here now, interestingly, making a play on the turn because his opponent checked the flop. This is why I like betting with my pair. He checked the flop, so he senses weakness, and now he's going to leverage his position and put pressure on his opponent and try and win it on the turn.
The raise is to 725,000.
And Mark, let's see if it's going to work. And it does work.
And this is what I love about watching heads-up poker. And by the way, it's much easier to be up here in the broadcast booth. We've got the whole cards. We've got 7 to 10 cameras down there.
That's a good point.
But that's got to be the hardest part is, reading your opponent. When there's
Well,
so
it's all
much
hard.
to head. Yeah,
it's difficult. But that's why you can't make too many missteps. I think Mark made a mistake in that last hand by not betting his pair on the flop. Here he's got a good hand with ace-9 on the button. He's going to want to get some action here. But I wouldn't deviate. I'd still raise coming into this pot.
And he is going to put in a raise to 300,000.
And the reason is you don't want to give your opponent in the big blind just a free chance to outflop you.
And now Samir is going to make the call with 9-7.
He's got him extremely dominated here, a 3-1 favorite as we go to the flop. Mark is, that is, a 3-1 favorite.
And the flop is King, Queen, 8, couple of diamonds.
And now both hands post-flop are marginal. And usually the player in position and with aggression will win this pot. Again, Mark should sense with a check from his opponent that his ace-high is good here and bet his position. Instead, he checks it and gives Samir a chance to wrestle this away from him.
Turn card, another diamond, this time the jack of diamonds.
Will Mark pull the trigger now? You got to use your position.
He's going to elect not to do that, Kenna, and he's going to check. And we go to the river card. And the river card is the ace of diamonds.
That gives Mark the flush. Now, will Samir make a bluff bet here on the river?
Well, Samir checks, and only a royal flush can beat Mark. So, Kenna, what should his bet size be? Half the pot?
Maybe even a weaker bet, just trying to get any kind of value, but Samir has absolutely nothing, so I don't expect him to get any value from this bet.
The bet is 350,000. Samir is going to quickly fold, so Mark is going to take down that pot. And we had a chance to chat with him before today's final table, and here's what he had to say.
I think it's a great structure. Yeah, HPT is a great structure. For guys like me, average players that, look, we're on a final table of a tournament. So for the average player, I think it's a great situation. A guy like me, if I win, I'll definitely play more HPT events. So yeah, it's a great structure. For the average player, they could become something a little bit, if you will.
We'll be back with more HPT right after this. Welcome back to the HPT. This week we broadcast from the Belterra Casino Resort. I'm James Larson, alongside my pal, Kenneth James. 2 players remain. Who's going to be our next champion? Will it be Mark or will it be Samir? You tell me, KJ.
Well, that's what we're here to find out. Heads up poker here as Mark looks down at ace-10. This is a very big hand heads up.
Blinds are up, by the way, 60,000, 120,000 with a 15K ante as Samir takes a nice cold drink of water.
Yeah.
He's working pretty hard tonight on the HPT.
You get parched, man.
Mark's going to raise it up to 320,000. Samir just wants to close this thing out. And he's going to make the call. Still has work to do, though.
Absolutely.
Still has work to do to win this title.
Sitting behind a pile of chips, you can see those black chips, 100,000 each.
All right, we go to the flop, and it's 8-5-4. Samir pairs is 8. He's going to check. Mark probably the standard continuation bet here, and Samir's going to like that.
Absolutely. When you flop top pair heads up, it's a very good hand.
Heads up poker, you just wait for your opponent to make that first mistake. 360,000 is the bet. Mark's got a good hand here with ace-10, couple of overs. We'll see if Samir decides to raise this. What would you do in this position, poker coach?
That's a great question. I'd look for a raise here and try and get value from a hand like what Mark has, 2 overcards.
He's got a raise now to 860,000.
Good play by Samir. And again, not to harp on it, but just to give you perspective, those grays, 5,000 each, the blue, 25,000, the blacks, 100,000 each. That gives you a sense of the player's depth of their chip stack, which is so important, especially in heads up.
Your champion tonight will go home with $83,732. Second place money, $51,699. So we're playing for, what, $30,000, basically?
And a title, which is very important.
The bracelet,
you know?
the interview with Tatiana. You get everything. I mean, that's what everybody wants to be, is the next HPT champion. We started with 383 entries. We are down to our final 2. Mark's going to make the call.
$30,000 difference between first and second. That's a lot of cheese, my friend. You can make a nice down payment on a house, pay off a lot of bills, a lot you can do.
You could take the 30,000 and bet it all on red and double it to 60,000. The action continues here.
You are a gambler, my friend.
Samir raised to 420,000. Mark's going to make the call. We go to the flop, and the flop is Jack 5-4. It's a rainbow.
And it's interesting, though, even off your comment, you do have to gamble it up here in poker. You've got to be able to put it out there on the line if you want to win that title.
Mark pairs is 5. Samir bets out 400,000. No raise here by Mark. He's just going to make the call.
You know, one of my favorite sayings is you've got to be willing to lose in order to win. And especially true in heads-up play.
Turn card is the deuce of spades. Samir's going to check. Now over to Mark.
Still in front with his pair of 5s. He should check. I mean, he should bet, rather. You know, you sense weakness from your opponent checking, and you have a pair heads up. It's good enough to make a bet, and he does so.
545,000.
Samir,
he looks a little puzzled here.
Well, you know, he's got 2 overcards. He's trying to determine, is it worth it to make a call here?
I know you're on a
Right.
draw.
Yeah. What did he say there?
He says he's got him on a draw, so he thinks that maybe even king high is good, but it's not. And he elects to fold, and Mark takes down the pot. A lot of these pots, you know, it's going to be touch and go. And heads up play, it's like that.
I talked to Mark before play today, and we asked him what he'll remember most about this weekend and his HPT experience, and he said the tournament director, Jeremy Smith, and his staff for running a great tournament. So I want to give credit where credit is due. We love Jeremy here on the HPT, and hope you're watching this, Jer. You do a great job. Tournament director, Jeremy Smith.
Absolutely, absolutely. A great run tournament.
Samir's going to raise it up to 240,000. Over to Mark now. It's 120K for him to make the call.
Mark makes it with 10-8. The kicker's less important here. More important, the position.
10-9 going up against 10-8. We go to the flop, and the flop is Queen 8 deuce. Couple of clubs.
But turns out the kicker is very important here as Mark pairs his kicker with second pair with an 8. He checks it. Again, I'd like to see Mark. Yeah, I'd like to see Mark bet his pairs heads up.
Both players check. Now the 4 of spades comes on the turn.
Just a little too tentative to be checking, even if it's second or third pair heads up. You figure to be the favorite.
Mark reaching for chips here. He's going to bet 330,000.
And now, if Samir continues his line from before, his opponent showed weakness on the flop, he might raise him and put him to the test here.
And now Samir's going to raise to 715,000.
Now, see, there's 2 flush draws out there, a club draw and a spade draw. So Mark might figure his opponent is more on a draw here and call, but he doesn't. Very tight fold from Mark here.
First bluff on me? It is. Oh, my Lord. You think I'm bluffing you, man?
I think you just did.
Oh my goodness gracious! What's wrong with you?
See, he sensed the bluff, but he didn't call off the bluff.
Samir is so close to his first HPT title. It's James Larson alongside Kenneth James, broadcasting here from the Belterra Casino Resort. Samir wakes up with 9-8.
Apologize there, James, but I just wanted to say that a lot of the problems that Mark is incurring post-flop would be solved if he would just bet his pair when he makes it.
Samir makes the call, and now Mark's going to check his option there with Jack 10.
Now, Samir mixing it up here, just limping on the button instead of raising. I like it.
Flop is Jack 8-7. Mark getting the best of this flop.
By far.
And he's going to check again. He doesn't bet here. Now Samir's going to bet 210,000.
Right. Now I expect Mark to put in a check raise here. If he just calls this, it's way, way too tight. He's behind. He's got to make something happen.
Mark's going to raise to
Good,
575,000.
Yeah, there we go. When you got the best hand, put chips into the pot. Poker 101.
Samir is going to make the call, a pot of over 1.4 million chips. And now we go to the turn card. It's another jack, this time the Jack of Hearts.
Interesting. Now, because there's two jacks on board, Samir might think it's less likely that my opponent has a jack, and he might pay off Mark's bet here on the turn.
Mark bets 630,000.
Yeah, and that's
Samir's
exactly
going
what
to make
happens.
the call.
Yeah. Uh-huh. And Samir also, with a 10, makes a straight, which would make Mark the full house.
And the river card is the 6 of diamonds.
Okay, now Mark's got to be very careful not to bet too much here. When you're making a value bet, wow, he checks it. He lets his opponent off.
He scared the dealer a little bit with that check. She jumped in her seat.
Well, Samir was happy to check it and just show down the hand here.
Mark's going to win the hand, and when we come back, we'll have more exciting HPT action right after this.
Welcome back to the HPT. It's James Larson and Kenneth James. And Kenneth, as we settle into heads-up play, Mark's starting to chip up.
He certainly is. I like the way he's opened up his game, James. And now, with just a mere double-up, he takes over the chip lead. It's anybody's game.
Almost $84,000 for first place. Let's get back to the action.
All right, let's go ahead and take a look at the chip counts. And Kenneth, Mark's chipping away.
Chipping away.
Chipping away.
Not a chip and a chair. He's chipping away at Sammy's lead. $30,000 difference plus.
Look at that up top, 83,732. What's the first thing you'd buy with $83,000?
A new swimming pool.
A new swimming pool.
In-ground swimming pool, about $80,000 these days.
Diving board, maybe a slide.
Diving
Anyway,
board
back to the poker.
goes with it.
Mark's got a real hand here. Heads up, Jack 10 of hearts.
On the button, a very good hand. I expect him to open up here. Now, keep in mind that just with a double up now, Mark will take the lead.
Raises to 290,000.
Anybody's game now. Samir defending with 5-4-5 high. When your head's up, high cards in hand are very important.
Jack 10, 5-4. We go to the flop. And the flop is 7 trade deuce, couple of diamonds.
Very interesting now as Samir flops an open-ended straight. And usually when you flop a big draw like this, you become the favorite because you can semi-bluff and do a lot of things with it here. But now Mark has got a gut shot and 2 overs to the board, so I don't expect this bet by Samir to get through.
Turn card, the 9 of clubs. Samir bets 300,000. And Mark, he's sniffing this out. He's going to make the call, like you said, with the 2 overs to the board and the gut shot straight draw. Now we go to the river card. It's the tray of spades.
Samir now looking to continue and fire a second bullet bluff.
Samir's going to bet 450,000, and this is going to be a tough call for Mark, and he's going to have to lay it down.
Yeah, he's only got jack high. You know, I like Samir's attack on this hand. And if at first you don't succeed, try again.
It's James Larson and Kenneth James. What do you tell your students, Kenneth, about heads-up poker? What advice do you give them? I know there's so many different situations, but what basic advice do you give them?
Stay aggressive. Here, Mark's got to stay aggressive. He's got ace high. Got to raise it up here. Especially, when you get knocked down, you got to pick yourself back up.
Mark raises to 300,000. I've got to give Mark all the credit in the world for not giving up.
He keeps fighting and fighting. This is a dog fight. And when you're in heads up, you're in a dog fight.
Samir's going to make the call with his king 5 of clubs.
Giving nothing away.
And I was just going to ask you, how important is it to play hands that with the same suits like that? And Samir just flopped the nut flush.
Well, you're playing almost everything heads up. And look at Samir's flop gin here with the nut flush. And with Mark with top pair, this pot could get away from him very quickly.
The bet is 425,000.
Because from Mark's perspective now, he still has a club in his hand.
With heads-up poker, anything is possible. Samir is going to make the call.
Yep.
Hoping
Playing
that-
possum here, we call it. Slow playing his big nut flush here.
Turn card now is the queen of spades. Samir's going to wisely check again. I like that check. Let your opponent catch up here, right, Kenna?
Now look at Mark cautiously checking behind here. I like it. He's controlling the size of the pot.
River card is the 10 of diamonds.
Wow.
Surprised at the check there, and I think
Don't
Mark's
check,
just going to give
don't
up.
check.
Checks as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah, have the nuts.
Checks and shows a 6 of clubs, or ace-6.
I had the nuts.
Well, Samir flopped the nuts, but now he just has the nut flush.
Flush, and Samir's going to win the pot.
Doesn't really maximize value there. You see he gets a little frustrated. He'd like to have won a little, a few more chips in that pot.
Talk about the fatigue factor. We've been here all week. This has been a long final table.
Over 300 players, as you said.
Yeah, how do you get through all that? These guys have to be tired.
Yeah, that's why, even though poker is mostly a mental game, you got to be in good physical shape to go through all of that.
Blinds are now up 80,000, 160,000 with a 20K ante. And look at this. We've got Tom Cruise at the table all of a sudden.
Mark donning the glasses here, the sunglasses, not wanting to give any visual tells away.
That or he could just be getting tired. He wants to throw the glasses on. The flop is Jack 7-4, couple of diamonds.
Look at this flop for Mark. Open-ended straight and flush draw.
A little bit. He's got everything going for him
Yep.
there in this hand. He's going to check. Now we go to the turn card. It's the deuce of spades.
Well, now, Mark, when you're going to semi-bluff, you want to bluff early, not late. So I would have preferred a semi-bluff on the flop rather than the turn because now, Samir has picked up a pair here. It's probably not going to get through. Nope, Samir makes the call. And now it really forces Mark to make his hand.
350,000 and a call by Samir. We go to the river card.
Mark
with a huge draw here.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's the
he
8 of
makes it.
clubs. He hits one of his draws. He makes the straight.
Now, how much to bet? Very important in pricing your value bets so that your opponent feels like they're getting value on a call and doesn't fold their hand.
The bet is 525,000.
I
Samir
like it.
stands up. He's
Trying to see what can I beat.
going to make the call, and he's going to see the bad news. And a pot of over 2 million chips is going to go Mark's way.
Wow. We are in a dogfight, ladies and gentlemen. The race has just gotten a lot closer.
Do you see this thing slipping away from Samir?
I don't know if it's slipped yet.
Well, let me ask you a question.
Uh-huh.
Can you almost have too big of a chip lead where it makes you play worse?
Sometimes for some people, yeah. They actually play worse the more they are in front. It's almost like they can't have winning. It's so close. And they stumble at the finish line.
And just like the great players over the years that we see play the short stack, Phil Hellmuth, players like that really excel when they're on the short stack. And, Mark's showing us that right here tonight.
Yeah. He's
Chipping away.
He's got some moxie as we get into this hand.
Samir raises to 325,000. Mark with a fun little hand here, an 8-7, suited up in hearts.
He's going to defend.
He's going to re-raise. That's
Look
going to
at
be, and
this.
Samir quickly folds his ace-9.
Now look at Mark leveraging his image from the last hand. He turned over basically the nuts. He's saying, I've always got it. Now he re-raises with 8 high.
We're having fun here at the Belterra Casino Resort, and when we come back, Heads Up will continue. This is the HPT. You're watching the HPT. We're broadcasting from Florence, Indiana, here at the Belterra Casino Resort. It's Heads Up Poker, ladies and gentlemen. We will crown our champion tonight, and that person, whether it's Mark or Samir will go home with 83,000 plus the bracelet, plus the bragging rights.
Title.
You
so
get it all,
much.
man.
Yeah. You know, it's beautiful outside, hot inside as we vie for this championship.
383 entries. Now we are down to our final two. Mark's going to raise it up to 380,000. And we have a hand here. Those are pocket kings, my friend.
Pocket kings. But, you know, you want another big hand when you have a major hand like this. Mark only with king 5.
880.
Samir may not get all the value he wants from this hand.
Did you want to see a re-raise there? Or can you let Mark just do your raise and maybe flat there? It's heads up after all.
It's a great point. Great point, James. A lot of times you're not going to get these real premium hands very often heads up, and this is the time you want to slow play. Show me one time, Mark says.
Now, I don't normally like showing the cards, but maybe this
Wow.
time.
I don't know. You know, you're basically validating your opponent, saying, hey,
Yeah, that's
you
a
made
good
a good
point.
laydown.
Good point.
You don't want to encourage and validate your opponents in competition, my friends. You want to crush them.
So what do you tell your students about picking up big hands like that? What advice do you have when you pick up a hand like aces or kings and it's already been raised before you?
Well, it depends the situation. Heads up, it's okay to slow play, but generally, never slow play your big hands.
Another big hand here for Samir. Looks down at king, queen of hearts. He's going to raise it up to 325,000. And look at this, king, jack. We're going to see fireworks.
You know, these are more hands heads up than we saw when it was on a full table.
King, queen, king, jack.
That's what's beautiful about heads up play. The action is just fast and furious.
So re-raise to 860. We may see all the chips get in the middle on this pot.
How much you have behind?
Wow. Now, Samir's asking how much behind. He might want to make a big play here and leverage his chip lead. But he doesn't. Yeah, I like it. I like him just calling here. I mean, you never know. We can see the cards, but, you know, there it's by feel. You never know exactly what your opponent holds.
Would you say Samir has him dominated here? King,
Dominated.
queen versus king, jack? Well, just like that, it gets even better for Samir as the flop comes out queen, 7-5, 2 diamonds.
Now, Mark might be tempted to continuation bet since he was the pre-flop raiser, but it would be... Oh, and he does!
All in and a quick call by Samir.
A major misstep here from Mark. We've been asking him to make a move all night long from up here in the booth. When he finally does, it's the wrong one. It's the wrong one.
Samir loves it. He's clapping. Turn card, though, 6 of diamonds.
Wow.
Mark's got the flush draw.
That brings Mark back into the hand. He's got a 20% chance to double up and take the chip lead in this tournament.
If not, Samir is going to be our new HPT champion.
All on the line as we go to the river.
And the river card is the 9 of clubs, and that is going to do it. Samir is our new HPT champion. He's going home with the cash and the title. Speaking of that cash, $83,732.
Congratulations.
After a long heads-up battle, we have a brand new HPT champion. It's going to be Samir going home with the title and the cash. But how about Mark? He played well.
He really did. You know, he changed it up. You know, we applauded him for stepping up and stepping out. Sometimes when you step out, you step in it. But you know what? He showed a lot of courage in changing up his game. He did a great job.
Nobody wants to finish second place, but he's going home with almost $52,000. Not too shabby. He's tableside right now with Tatiana.
We have a winner here at the HPT at Belterra Casino Resort. Mark, unfortunately second. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling I've been outplayed today. So I'm not feeling great, but I'm glad to take second.
Is there anything you think you could have done differently?
Like I said, I was outplayed today. You know, my cards, I was card dead for pretty much the 45 minutes that we ended. So, but, you know, really, I probably could have gotten in a better spot in that situation, that last hand.
Once again, congratulations to Mark, but the man of the hour is Samir. He's our new champion. The amateur led this thing wire to wire.
He certainly did. You know, he's a lab technician by trade. He came into the poker lab and technically took it apart.
Who writes this stuff for you?
Just off the cuff, baby.
You're a knucklehead. Anyway, Samir is going home with the cash, the title, and the bragging rights. Let's go to our championship interview. Tatiana is with him at the final table.
I noticed your hands are shaking. You're very emotional.
Well, I usually shake even when I watch TV, but but yeah, that's added to the mix. Yeah.
I was with Samir when he was a chip leader on day 2, and we interviewed multiple times. And this is going on right now. So talk to me a little bit.
I've won a couple before, but I've had a drought in the last couple of years where I make it deep and then something crazy happens out of my, even my wife thought maybe I should quit poker because I get down to the last two tables, or like last week, I finished 11th and she was like, maybe you need to quit. You're not good for this. So, but it was great that it finally paid out, and I ran good, played good.
Once again, congratulations to a very emotional Samir, who is our brand new title holder.
Yeah, on the poker table, you keep the emotions in, but when it's all over, those feelings bubble up and they come out, pouring out. You got an amateur besting a field of over 300 players, walking away with over $80,000. Great job.
If you handed me $84,000, I'd probably start crying too. Now, if you're watching this and you think you have what it takes, why not give it a shot? I've told people this is kind of like a weekend fishing trip. Grab a couple of buddies, and who knows, maybe you'll catch the big one. All the information's on the webpage at hptpoker.com. For Kenneth James, I'm James Larson, and we'll see you next time on the HPT.